and welcome to a 2-in-1 episode. Dante, Mission 11 and Mission 12. Now you're going to see Mission 11 is actually a less polished version of what you saw in Mission 10 because this was filmed way earlier when the strategy wasn't so fluid, let's say. So I am going to Kalina and this whole room. For these initial dudes here, I could have just normally punched them. You'll see that I'm not using the swords because I started using the swords in Mission 19. So in case you are missing the swords, that's the reason why I hadn't started using them. The Devil Sword Dante trick that you saw in Mission 10. This room has a Fury. That's probably the only threatening thing here. I don't care. I'm just sticking to my corner and killing it the way that I usually take care of these things. And now it's time to punch these things. And because on Dante Must Die you actually don't need to do this because you gain enough DT from that fight, but on these lower difficulties I usually just bully these enemies here with the Kalina and with Balrog just to get Sin Devil Trigger because the Judica is coming up and I want to have Sin Devil Trigger for the Judica. And what I noticed was the more consistent strategy was to go over here in this corner because the Judica is usually the first one to come to me. So I know that it's right underneath me, like if you can see it right there, it even got hit full force by my SDT. So I just Lucy it and I know that it's gonna take a lot of damage from me. Now I've been hit doing this, so it's not a foolproof strategy of never get hit, but usually the Judica is right there. Usually I can take it out. It usually goes well, but I have to admit that's the one part in this mission where I get hit the most. Like if I have to restart this mission, it's probably because I got hit there, and there's nothing here that is stopping me from Kalina Anning this whole room. And it's a little bit more of a jumping around because there's less space and these guys get close to you way faster than they would normally do because of the circular nature of this room. But quite frankly, they are not that difficult. It takes me about, I don't know, it takes me about 3 to 4 minutes because there's nobodies here which have a lot of HP. There's the Proto Angelo which has a lot of HP. There's a lot of enemies that have a lot of HP, and unlike most of my runs, I usually do have to stay mobile here, but I never get hit. Like I don't think I've died here ever with this strategy. And yes, people do use Faust here because I mean it took me 4 minutes to get rid of this. It's less time consuming, but hey, it's out of the way. Now it's time for the boss, and I do get hit at the boss. In fact, I do use the more risky strategy because I don't want to. But you can just avoid him until he teleports and then hat him there. I usually just want to Sin Devil Trigger. After he's third, at this third round of these sparkly things, I usually Sin Devil Trigger. And I do sign him to do a butt ton of damage. And this works the exact same way on Dante Must Die. That's the reason why I didn't bother, because I had a recording of this fight on Dante Must Die, but it's literally the same, only there I actually pulled out a judgment which did more damage to him. Don't ask me how I managed to do that. It was amazing. And of course I fumbled getting to to Gunslinger there, and now you can just shoot him. I decided to hack him again for no reason. You can just shoot him at this point. But yeah, this is what I mean about the cycle, and it works just like that. And this is one of Dante's easiest missions, which is why I didn't feel the need to have like a full episode dedicated just to it. So let's talk about Mission 12. Mission 12 is, in my personal opinion, if you get past this mission with Dante, you are in the clear. Like, this is Dante's worst mission. I don't think that I've seen a compelling argument for any other mission being worse than this one, because there's a skip here that might take you a full day to learn. It took me more than a day to learn because I just didn't know how to do it. But at this point in time, there's a really annoying thing here that I usually want to head out from the get-go, and I should have just shot that guy. Yes, like that. I should have just shot him immediately. I don't know why it took me so long to figure it out, but at this point I was still figuring out the strategies of Faust. And this mission is actually notoriously difficult to rank as far as I'm concerned, because you have all of the worst encounters here. Like, you don't have enemies that give you good amounts of damage. You have 2 Furies that are mandatory skips as far as I'm concerned. Like, 1 Fury is fine enough, but 2 is just too many, and you can't actually off-screen those Furies because they start. That's the introduction to the Fury, so they start on screen, so they will be aggro to you the moment they come on screen. One of them at the very least. The other one won't be aggro. But yeah, there's a skip here that took me like 2 days to learn. You have to point your camera up, jump, and do a backwards melee attack in the air with Cavalier. And you have to do that 4 times in order to gain the momentum, and then a trickster jump. So it's like this skip took me so long. I can't even, and it is not even consistent. Like, I usually fall. Like this to me, this 3rd one, I don't know how in God's name I got this clean, because this was the one time when I got it super clean. Like, it somehow all worked. The stars aligned and I was able to jump this 3rd ledge. Don't ask me how I managed to do this. This was amazing to me. This is the only time I've gotten this skip to work that well. But usually you can, in fact, if you can consistently do the 2nd skip to the 2nd floor, you can just skip the 3rd one, because the next room is not too bad.
Here comes the blood.
So we have to go back to the 2nd room. We actually do have to go back to the 2nd floor, but it's actually easier to jump from here to the 2nd floor. It really is way easier to jump back, which is why I usually focus on getting to the 3rd floor first, because that's the hard one. And here, Gunslinger, and this is not a hard room. I usually just DT because DT does extra damage and kills them immediately, but it does mean that you won't have DT for years, and that's the bad part, because you don't have places to build DT, which is why, for me personally, for Dantemas, at the very least, it was way more important to just go up to the 2nd floor here and not do the 3rd floor jump, because then I would be able to build up my DT on the next room, which is not that hard to do, or on these bats, but I usually forget about them. And I'm fairly sure I forgot one of them. Yep. Like, I do have to go, not here, but... Okay, so I did forget one of them, and I did have to go back to this camp. Yeah. I forgot that I didn't even do this one, so... Good job, me. But... Yeah, so long as you get the 3rd skip, this is basically best case scenario, and for me it was a miracle that this worked so well. Don't ask me how. I was lucky that day. On most of the other ones that I did, I just gave up on the 3rd skip, and I went immediately after the 2nd floor. After that room, I went up. There's an easy encounter that you can Faust your way through, or Kalina, and depending on what you like. And now it comes the hard part. Urizen, if you know how to judgment, this is not gonna be hard for you. If you don't know how to judgment, like I don't know how to judgment, this was very difficult. In fact, the difficulty of this mission for me was Urizen. Beating him without damage is one of the hardest things that I have had to do in this game, because it starts you with Sin Devil trigger, and as you can see I have no DT gauge, which is what I would actually need in order to make the hat tricks do a lot of damage. So it starts me with Sin Devil trigger, and I usually just do this attack because it has iframes and I can kind of sort of avoid that. I can't do judgment, so I usually just pray to God that I don't get hit there. You have no idea how many times I've gotten hit there. Well, if I don't get hit there, I'm kind of sort of in the clear. Except if Urizen decides to immediately summon his crystal. He can do that. He has done that so many times. But yeah, this was the lucky run. The run where all the stars aligned and I finally got the S rank for this mission. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.